Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. We're going to talk about something today that many of us, when you say this word, it just feels good, kind of excites you. You feel that you're taking care of yourself. You're doing self-care with help from somebody else. I'm talking about massage and massage therapy. A lot of times we don't know what to ask for when we go for a massage, whether it's therapeutic, whether it's restorative, whether it's just for relaxation. So we're going to talk with somebody today that offers that and so much more, and truly is looking to make a change in our lives, creating change specifically. And that's actually the name of his business. Mark Hayward joins us today on the program. Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Hey, Steve. Doing fantastic. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, it's good to have you here. The whole massage thing, and I've gone for many different types of massages. I still don't know what to ask for. I'm not really sure what. Yes. And lymphatic drainage massage. I've had, Swedish, all of those. Could we break some of those down and just maybe add some clarity for the rest of us that aren't really sure the different types of massages?
Sure, absolutely. Well, you mentioned a couple. Lymphatic drainage is actually a very specific modality. It's quite different from a traditional massage.
Sure.
They have a training. The strokes are very subtle. They go for very specific sites. So that's a very targeted massage. And you would necessarily just get that for, issues with swelling, or maybe just came out of a surgery. So you want to make sure that everything is flowing right. Traditionally, people go for other massages for therapeutic relaxation reasons. You mentioned Swedish, which is a particular type of stroking, which usually stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, which gets you to relax. A lot of people usually tend to ask for deep tissue massage. They want to feel it. I hear that a lot. And that's where a little bit of confusion comes in, because you can have deep tissue massage in almost any massage. And the depth of the massage really, in the way I practice, depends on what the person's needs are, particularly, and also what condition, what their tissues are allowing for. So usually deep therapy massage is considered more therapeutic, because you're actually trying to create an actual change within the soft tissue. Personally, I like to receive and I like to offer is a combination, again, addressing what is needed by the client at that particular time and what condition are they presenting on the table. So you can, like, if you went to my site, you would see most of my massages are just called blends, because, who knows what they need? Who knows what you really want? Like you said, I'm not sure what to ask for. And I get that question a lot. I don't know what to order. What do you think I should do? And I say, just pick the blend. You come in, we'll talk. You tell me what you want. We'll come to a single page and we'll address. And usually I'm blending it up. I like to give a little bit of Swedish, a little deep tissue, and I do a little bit of lymphatic draining. So I'm not certified in that, but pretty much every massage you're going to be draining lymph fluid. So, it really depends on your therapist and the client's communication and what you want, and what you need at the time.
That's what makes your services and practice different, because you actually listen. Many of us just sign up online. Yeah, I deep tissue. And I think a lot of us default to that because we're thinking, well, I'm paying for a massage. I want to feel that thing. I'll click that one, and you walk in and maybe somebody says, less pressure, more. And that's really the only dialogue that goes on. I love the blend concept, because it can be this, it can be that. One thing I did learn with that lymphatic drainage massage, and I felt I needed it. I had like little minor surgeries and things like that. And that's, addresses the lymphatic system. But
Absolutely.
What opened my eyes to that, and you reminded me in what you said, that it's a lighter massage, but it's interesting how when a massage is done right, even with a lighter touch, it can make a difference. It can make a huge difference. You don't have to like get in there, you know?
It's a fantastic point, Steve. As I get deeper in my career, my pressure gets lighter and lighter,
Mm.
actually. Yeah. And I see about three different therapists that I personally go to, depending on what I need. And one of them, sometimes she just places her hands on me. She does a lot of myofascial release, which is
Yes.
another type of massage.
Yep.
I also incorporate that a lot.
Mm.
And it feels like she's just holding me. And eventually it moves. And by the end of the massage, it's so relaxing. It doesn't feel like she's done anything, but I get up and I feel so light and free. So it's true, there's neuromuscular massage and um, trigger point massages, which are other approaches, and they can be labeled as specific massages. They tend to feel a little more aggressive because you might have like a chronic restriction that's just sending pain, referring pain out. They tend to, you got to get in there and you got to break it up. So those are the situations where you need to get a little aggressive. You need to break some tissue up. But anything outside of that, you can actually just make contact. And it's all about intention. And it's all about syncing with the client. If the client is resistant to making some sort of change, then that tends to make the therapy a little more ineffective. But if everybody's kind of syncing up vibrationally, I know it sounds a little woohoo, but I've felt it and seen it many times.
Sure.
Change can happen and stuff can release. So yeah, it's a very good point. You don't have to beat up the tissue. In fact, that can be counterproductive and harmful in a lot of cases.
Now you mentioned myofascial release and that type of massage. I believe I had that too. Now that it's coming back to me, can you explain that?
Sure, sure. A lot of clients and the population out there are not familiar with specifically myofascial release therapy. So the fascia is this incredible complex mechanism that's everywhere throughout our body. It's three-dimensional. It's kind of a web design. I like to tell people this when they go, what's fascia? I said, do you cook? And they're like, yeah, you cook chicken? Well, yeah, I cook chicken. If you ever cook chicken meat and you see that white stringy stuff when you're cleaning it or whatnot, preparing it, that's the chicken's fascia, right? And that tends to be a little thicker. It looks really dense. And our fascia can be like that, but basically it's in between and intertwines everything. It supports all the organs. It's intertwines with the muscles. If you were to stand you up and remove everything from out of your body and just leave the fascia, you could kind of still see you. It's everywhere. That's my point.
Hmm.
So myofascial release is very specific techniques, and it can be very subtle. Again, it's all about the exchange between the practitioner and the client. It's about getting the material, the ground substance is what they call it, to change from the stickiness, which tends to happen when it's a chronic restrictive condition, to a more watery, flowy feel. And that allows everything to move better and also allows the underlying muscle fibers to release. So to that point, if you're not getting effective, if you need, and most people do, myofascial release, if you're not getting that fascia, if you're not addressing that release initially, the underlining and the intertwining muscle groups have nowhere to go. They're stuck. It's a very important technique. And I highly suggest most people that I converse with to address that initially if you're dealing with a chronic issue. In fact, if a client comes to me, with chronic issue, as usually it is, I'm doing about almost a full session of just myofascial release. And in the subsequent sessions, probably at least 3, I'm doing a lot of myofascial release first, just to get that fascia to trickle open and release. And then we're going in. That's usually what I say. Okay, now we're going in because the fascia has released and things are moving. And it's really a series of dragging to break up the mature bonds, just to kind of break it up a little bit. And then it's a lot of holding. It's just holding space. And it's really cool. there's like something that happens between your hold. They call it piezoelectricity hold, where it actually starts to blend. You feel it almost like you're sinking in. And then all of a sudden, if you wait, and it takes patience, depending on the condition, you just feel it melt like butter. And then you know you've got a release and it spreads. And the fascia is very thick and layered. There's like 4 layers there. So if you're skilled at it and you pay attention, if you're able to hold it on the surface layer a certain way, just kind of move with it, you can get a full, deep release all the way down to the organ level. Again, it takes a little patience and a little skill set to be able to really tune into that. But it's pretty amazing therapy.
Thank you for explaining that, because now I truly understand it. And I really mean that. And I'm going to say it was gross hearing about the chicken, but now it's clear, what's actually going on within our bodies and the restrictions that we have.
Visual is everything, man. Sometimes you got to throw it in just so they can get it in their heads visually.
I've forever, years, have heard the term myofascial release, and I kind of knew what it was. I knew it was a network of tissue and it needs to be moved, massage worked, and that's also, from my understanding, you can have issues with that from injuries, surgeries, scar tissue, all of that. But if it's not moved, then you're not really moving the way you should. So the chicken description sent it home. I got it.
Good.
Yes, it totally did. Totally see it now. Good. And I've had that massage too. And I know exactly what you're saying, where things are moved and then you hold space and you just wait. And but that waiting as the person receiving the massage is magical. It's almost like, I'm just waiting. It feels good.
Unfortunately, a lot of times folks that are coming in, they may not be experienced with myofascial release. They don't have the patience. They don't feel what's happening. And it's a shame, because so a lot of times when I'm working with new people, I have to limit that time because I know they want to feel something. So I try to encourage folks to look into it. There are therapists that just do myofascial release, and I have a couple of those that I refer out if I feel like the fascia is really stubborn. You need to have concentrated work on this. But the patience is key. Allowing the body to be in a receptive mode for the deeper and a little more aggressive therapy. It's just way more effective. You're going to get much more sustainable relief.
What's going on during a massage where it does something to us? Is it just the touch of another human, and psychologically or even chemically? Let's factor out what's actually being done in terms of, the different types of massages that we're referring to. But what's actually going on that makes it feel so good?
That's a really excellent question. And a lot of it is the touch, and of course, it all depends on, the client, what they're bringing to the table. Where are they, psychologically and physiologically.
Sure.
Yeah, and then it's the job for the therapist to present an environment that they're comfortable enough to let go and to receive. I mean, that's critical. And, that process can happen from the time they walk in the door, or from the time you put your hands on them, or maybe somewhere halfway through the massage, but getting to that point is where it feels good. And some people have more experience than others through receiving the touch, so they're able to get there quicker. But I believe it ties back to that touch, and it also comes through with the intention. Because if you're a massage recipient, so I'm sure you've been on tables where just not feeling it, and then you've been on other tables. Wow, this is incredible. So that's where the practitioner skill comes in, and it's about their intention through the touch. And it's that connection. It's that humanistic connection that we all really crave, whether we know it or not. We're all connected anyway. through this space, this visible space. But when you have that direct connection and you apply it with a intention of healing, or just holding space and good intentions are passing through,
Sure.
that's where that thing comes in. And then when you start stirring up fluids,
Yep.
you get things
Yep.
moving. It just stimulates that whole goodness.
I get the intention. And if you subscribe to the thought that we're energy and everything is energy, I do. It's the intention you set when you do anything, but especially massage. The therapist has the intention of helping this person with their issue. Then magic happens. How did this all happen for you, Mark? Tell us about your journey getting to where you are now, helping people.
Well, in all honesty, I've kind of always had this thing in me. I've always been a people person. I've been working with the public for over 4 decades in some form or fashion. So that's always been in me. It's this kind of need, not a need, just a drive to be of service. Massage, I kind of just fell into. I was in a business, a career that I needed to get out of. It was, short story, killing me. It was just too intense, and I was just too old for it. And so I just needed to change. And funny story is my mother was receiving her first hip replacement, and she was in a rehab, she was in a live-in rehab, and she was getting physical therapy. And I would take her, and I'd go there. And I was so intrigued by it. I was like, I could do that. So that was the spark. It's like, maybe I should start looking for a new career something along this line. So I've always been physically active. I've always been health and wellness conscious, so I said, well, maybe this is an avenue I could check into. Didn't pan out. And then I said, well, let me try massage. It's a little simpler. It's 1 year of schooling. Knew nothing about massage, really. I think I may have received 1 massage before I, looked into it. Shopped around a little bit, did some research. And the minute I walked into this school, it was Cortiva Institute here in Pinellas County in Central Florida here.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like I was home. And
Wow.
It was just the reception of people. And then once I got into anatomy, we had to do an A&P, a basic A&P, and I was just in awe. I thought I knew about the human body, but once I started learning more about the intricacies of the body, I dove in, and the passion was ignited, and it just educating myself, and the ability to, the skills as a massage therapist, once I hit the field, just developed organically, and it just became, I was a little embarrassed at first because the rewards that I was getting from just helping folks feel better, like I didn't go into it for that. I was just looking for a career change, and I thought maybe this was something I could do.
Mm-hmm.
But it enriched me so much, making people come in who felt pain or, unhappy or whatever, and leaving with their smile on his face and this lightness about them. It was so enriching. It was so rewarding. And that's where it just grew. From that, I just wanted to do more.
When they say that we all have a purpose, it truly sounds like you found your purpose in what you do.
I don't want to label myself or limit myself, so to speak, but I definitely found a place where I can be of service at a very high level.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
The interesting thing about massage therapy and kind of why I now have a wellness center and I do other things. Massage therapy always would be my my main
well, I'm
thing
not saying just massage. I'm talking about the entire wellness center. Everything that you offer, in
Yes.
terms of what you want to, in terms of helping people through these modalities. That to me sounds like, maybe you've nailed your purpose. That's it.
It's a good space.
Yeah. So
But what else? Massage, the cool thing about being a massage therapist is the flexibility and the availability of growing and taking on new skills and being of service in different areas of wellness, so I think that's really cool, aspect of the career.
Sure. And that's for you in your center. That's only one piece of it. There's so much more that you offer, down to the foundation fitness program. Uh, Tell us, and in future sessions together here, we'll go deeper into them. But tell us about some of the other things you offer.
Sure. Well, I got certified as a personal trainer a long time ago. That ran out, and then I re-upped it because I started to realize that for certain clients, there was a limitation. They keep coming back. The issues will keep coming back.
Mm.
And then see noticeable patterns. I realized that there was weaknesses and there was imbalance in structural that needed to be addressed. So that's where that came in. And so I offer more along the lines of corrective exercises. And I actually just recently received my functional fitness certification, because that's kind of more along the lines of what I offer is, activities that will generate more functionality in your day to day, really focusing on postural integrity. So that's one of the things I offer. Another thing, a pattern I noticed was also doing massage with certain clients. We would get some really incredible releases. I could feel the releases, I could feel the progress, but then I would feel it get shut down. I would feel it either on the table or when they walked in. And then through discussions, I became aware of it, that there was an emotional aspect to it. There was an emotional energy that was providing that barrier for breaking through to the healing process, right? So that's where I start. So when that happened, when I became aware of that, I've been doing Qigong and meditation 25 years. And I just offered it to a specific client, like, hey, I do this stuff, maybe it'll work for you, maybe not. You want to try it out? I'm like, sure, try it out. And it was like night and day. They just broke through that barrier. Wow. So that's where I started developing, I don't like to call it energy work, but Qigong is about, cultivating energy, but it was more along the lines of balancing their emotions, stress relief, grounding, stimulating the relaxed response, and being controlling of your breath, and just taking control of your conscious state, and to allow for the flow, and in the sense of healing. And so we offer Qigong and meditation as well. I've been offering that for many years.
Would love to dig into that at another point. We're just about out of time, but so many of us struggle with meditation. We know it's important, and then some will say, I just can't do it. I sit there, but we don't realize, many of us, that go take a walk. We're meditating in many regards. We overthink it. Tell us where the center is and how we can learn more.
Sure. Largo, which is Central Florida, Tampa Bay area. Very small town. It's right next to Clearwater, which is beach town.
Love it.
We're close to beaches. Yeah, it's a really cool little town.
One of my favorite spots in Florida. I was just there. Well, I want to say just there, but I was at the end of the winter. I went, and there's I don't know, I can't explain what it is about Clearwater in the Tampa area. And it's funny when you say Largo, lots of people equate it with Key Largo, very southern Florida, but it's not.
This is
right?
Central Florida. It's nothing like Key Largo, in most respects. But yeah, it's a cool area. It's a cool area. It's up and coming, right? They're developing just like everywhere else. So I've been there for years. I'm sorry, what's the other thing? How to reach?
And yeah, how do we reach you? What's your website?
Website is creatingchangellc.com, which is the best place to really get in touch with me. Also, everybody can call me directly if they'd like, 727-519-8786.
Awesome learning about all of this, Mark. I've done podcasts on massage before, but never like this. And I truly mean that, in learning about a lot of this stuff, and lots more to learn about what you offer there. Appreciate you being here today.
Thank you so much, Steve. Have yourself the best day ever.
You too. And we'll talk soon. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.